singing for us. Now, his name is singing. We'll start off with a request by my mother. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Hallowed be thy name. Hallowed be thy name. Hallowed be thy name. Hallowed be thy name. Welcome to this special celebration. Just think about that. Ray and Esther was married 40 years. 40 years. Think of the perseverance it would take to do that. How does that happen? What type of commitment does that take? I think back to a story I read about Winston Churchill. Held audiences spellbound. In his retirement year, in his 80s, he was once asked to come and give a commencement address. And he gave perhaps one of the shortest, most interesting speeches ever. He walked up to a lecturer with his cane, and he said, "Never give up." And then he said it again, "Never give up." And for a third time, "Never give up." And he turned around and went back to his chair. And there was standing ovations for him because that was what his whole life was. He was there when World War II, when the bombing was of London. He was a pillar, a man that people that looked up to, the individual that led the community and never gave up. And that's the message he was trying to give to those. And I think of 40 years, that's what it was. Never giving up. Never giving up. Of course, he had other comments about marriage. There's a story how he gave a speech once, and this lady came up to him, and she said, "If you were my husband, I'd poison your coffee." He stopped and looked at her and said, "If you were my wife, I'd drink." Then there's written communication to run into in terms of family life. There's a story of a lady who went to the hospital, and it explained in the newspaper article how she was rushed to the hospital, heading down the streets. Ambulance pulls up to the emergency room, they run into the emergency room, they run to the elevator, and on the way up in the elevator, she delivered her baby. Just as the door opened, and everyone stood there looking. And afterward, she was in her room. The doctor came up to her and said, "Gee, that must have been pretty embarrassing, but really, don't let it bother you. It was worse a couple of years ago. There were ladies, she delivered her baby on the lawn. Traffic was stacked up for 2 blocks. She said, "Yeah, I know, that was me." There was an article once in Dear Abby, and I remember this, it was fascinating. There was this problem, this wife was writing in saying her husband always leaves his undershorts turned inside out. What should she do? And I don't remember what Dear Abby said, but I remember what my wife said. She said, "If I were her, I'd leave them. That way every other time they'd be right way around." And then there's other things that surprise us, things that have to surprise us. We have these hopes, and things turn out differently than we expected. A friend of mine, he went hunting up in Alaska, and he decided to go bear hunting. And he was up there with a friend, and in the process, they were going through the ravines and traveling throughout the country, real rough area. And at times they got separated a little, but they at least usually were within shouting distance of each other. He spotted this bear, pulled out his gun, and the gun jammed. And the bear saw him, started taking after him, and chasing him. You can imagine, this ain't funny. This bear is coming, and he's got to travel quick. So he takes off running as fast as he can. Running, he sees the tree in the distance, he stumbled, fell down, and he's thinking, Oh, let this be a Christian bear. And all of a sudden there was silence. No noise. He looked up and there was this bear, quietly kneeling beside him. Then you heard the bear say, "Thank you for this food." Okay, we're going to begin our program with a song from Savannah. Savannah, can you come and sing this song?
Out to say, oh, that we're getting far away. No, there's a big clap, clap, clap. Oh, Mr. Kimberly. Boy, you're just out to say, oh, that we're getting far away. No, there's a big clap, clap, clap. We live left Kimberly. We live out to say, oh, that we're getting far away. No, there's a big clap, clap, clap. We live left Kimberly. We live out to say, oh, that we're getting far away. No, there's a big clap, clap, clap. We live left Kimberly. We live out to say, oh, that we're getting far away. No, there's a big clap, clap, clap. No,
Okay, now we have a skit by Kirk, Jeff, and Ross.
Hello? Hello? You there? Oh, the phone's not working. Hello, operator? Phone's not working. Can you send me a repairman? Good. Hello? Hello? Huh? Still not working. Hello, operator? It's still not working. Could you please send... Yeah, same guy. Could you please send one more? Good. Hello? Huh? Hello, operator? The phone is still not working. Could you send some more? Good. not go fishing tomorrow? Okay, but I already got 4 suckers on the line.
Okay, we now have a song by Jennifer. Jennifer, come and sing. And now we have a piano. Derek, can you play the piano for us? Once a year, Ray and Esther head out west to visit Alan and his grandchildren. Something like to do is go fishing and camping and sightseeing, but something else like to go to Jackson Hole, see one of those melodramas. And for you, presenting some melodramatics are Ellen, Jennifer, Karen, John, and Joanne. There will be cue cards telling you when the boo and hit please join in. Let's hear it for our opening scene, which starts out with Savannah's ready. It's your mom and sister. She'll love you to apply for her. Let's welcome Jennifer and the rest of the gang. Jennifer?
Our story takes place at the home of the poor widow Jones and her lovely daughter, Penelope.
Oh, Mother, it's so cold in here. Why don't you put another coal on the fire, my dear? Oh, Mother, can we afford to?
It will be all right, my dear.
Oh, Mother, there's someone at the door. Look at it, me. Boo, boo. Why don't you go and sleep, my dear? Oh, Mother, it's time to get washed. Won't you come in, Mr. Whiplash?
I come to collect the rent.
I don't have the rent.
You must pay the rent.
I can't pay the rent.
You must.
I can't.
You must.
I can't.
You must. You must.
I can't. I can't.
Rats. Get out in the street here.
Oh, please, Mr. Whiplash. Please, kind sir. Don't throw us out into the street. Don't throw us out of our home. Please, please. I didn't do anything.
Anything?
Yes, anything.
Then I will have Penelope's hand in marriage. Oh, sweet Penelope, will you marry me?
No, never. I will never marry you.
You must marry me.
I won't marry you.
You must.
I won't.
You must.
I won't.
You must. You must.
I won't. I won't.
Rats. How about you, sweetie? Will you marry me? Will you marry me? Will you marry me? Will anybody marry me?
No!
Rats. You must marry me.
No, I will never marry you.
If you don't marry me, I'll tie you to the railroad tracks. You cut that out. If you don't marry me, I'll tie you to the bus stop. I told you to cut that out. Who do you think you're fooling anyway? I'll get you little brats later. If you don't marry me, I'll take you to the highest cliffs and throw you down the river with crocodiles.
Oh, help! Will anybody save me?
Who is it? Oh, it's John!
For a dastardly villain by the name of Snidely Whiplash. He's wanted in all 50 states, Canada, Mexico, Hong Kong, Japan, and Timbuktu. Why, he's the cheatinest scoundrel. He's the... he's something. Oh yeah, he's the biggest gambler, the cheatingest gambler, crookedest horse thief, sneakiest grave robber ever walked the face of this earth. And he's just plain mean. Has anybody seen him?
Help, John, save me.
Say what?
Help, John, save me.
Much more with feeling.
John, save me.
There you are, you dastardly coward. You won't slip away from me this time, you slithering snake. There, Little Jones, this little scoundrel will never bother you again.
My hero.
Come on, Whiplash, we've got a train to catch.
Rats, wait over here.
Okay, now Kirk, Jeff, and Ross, but now let's get, I gotta warn you, these guys are practicing with gong shows in our church.
Nobody likes me, everybody hates me, yes I don't need words. Long and slimy ones, short and juicy ones, itsy bitsy fuzzy wuzzy words. Down goes the first one, down goes the second one, down goes the word. Long and slimy ones, short and juicy ones, itsy bitsy fuzzy wuzzy words. Up goes the first one, up goes the second one, so how they wiggle and squirt. Long and slimy ones, short and juicy ones, itsy bitsy fuzzy wuzzy words.
Does any kid want some worms? So you can hand them out, Kirk. Any adults want some worms? Yeah, throw a question. Well, there's some more worm eaters over here, Kirk. They're really quite tasty. Now we've got the grandkids are going to sing a song. Can you guys come up here and sing a song?
Red-nosed reindeer, reindeer, raspberry shine.
a few. Joanne's going to start, and then Alan's next, and then I'll conclude. So Joanne, why don't you start?
Hello. Well, we always hear about the cute things we say when we're little. But what I found out is that all the stories I've heard about myself have been from my dad. Not my mom, so I don't know if I said anything cute to my mom or not. But I got to be thinking about it. And when I was little, I had these bounds that I could play in. I could go a block north, a block south, a block east, and a block west, and that was about it. So there's not much in that area. I spent a lot of time over at the Artoon Funeral Home. I lived in front of it. But Mr. Artoon and I were pretty good friends, and we'd often sit and chat on the stairs. And we always had coffee at our house, so I would always invite him to come to coffee. And I could never understand his words. He would say, "Well, is your father home?" And I'd say, "No, but what does that matter? We have coffee. Come over anyway, Mom's home." And so I think that's Mom why he would never come over when Dad wasn't home. And then, as far as Dad goes, I'm not exactly sure what happened here, but as I recall, I was very little, maybe about 3 years old, and we still went to church out in Peace Lutheran Church in north of Beulah. And we got in the car, and Mom looked at Dad and said, "Did you brush your teeth?" Dad was a heavy smoker at the time, and he said, "Well, yeah, I brushed my teeth." And she made some comment that they were still stained, they looked yellow. And I said, well, why didn't you use highlights? We don't have very good chances to thank our parents. And I found especially my dad. And so I'd like to share a letter that I wrote for him. And it's not all mushy, so don't worry about it. But it has to do with always doling things out to your kids. And how many things have you done without so that your kids could do with? This is a letter that I wrote to him in December. Dear Dad, greetings. I'm sending you some money for Christmas. After 20-odd years of doling out money to me, I finally thought you might like to get a return on one of your investments. It seems that kids are poor investments, financially anyway. Where else can you pay an unusually high premium for a very long time that earns 0% interest and yields a negative balance? Any financial advisor will tell you that this is not a good way to make money. The money I've enclosed is intended toward the purchase of a new suit for you. Perhaps you can find one in Bismarck when he doesn't have it. John plans on slipping you $5 at the anniversary to keep Mom. The same amount you paid John to marry me. So I want you to look the very best. Incidentally, that $5 was probably the best investment you ever made. I'm sure you planned it out carefully. The frequency of requests for funding declined drastically by simply substituting a new financial source. John had no idea how much the $5 he accepted from you would end up costing him. So enjoy this rare and non-overdue dividend. Merry Christmas. Love always, Joanne. P.S. Keep the change.
And now we've got a story from Alan.
Well, my story goes back some years before that. I'm trying to think of something for Mom and Dad, and so I had to think about when we bought our first car. Now, before Joanne was born, all we had to drive was a green 49 Chevy pickup. Well, as our family grew, they decided that they needed a car. Well, it just so happened that our minister had this dark blue 48 Chevy for sale. So we all pile in the pickup, head out to the Parsons out in the country, and Mom and Dad looked at this car. They thought about it a while and decided to buy it. Now, we all know that most ministers are basically honest. And I have no doubt that this one was too. But for some reason, he just forgot to mention to Dad that the brakes didn't work. So we all headed back to town. Mom took the baby in the pickup, and Dad and Clyde and I go back in the car. So as we went along, in the middle of winter, on a gravel road, at night, in a car, that the brakes didn't work. Now, I accepted the Lord when I was very young, and I don't remember exactly when it was, but it might have been that night. Every time Dad wanted to stop the car, he had to plow in the snow drain. Well, we only kept that car for a week before Dad traded in, and after that, Dad bought all his cars from a car dealer.
You heard it now. I just got a hodgepodge of things. There's been so many things. Many of you know that my folks have been so active, so many things. We have a lot. I've been teaching Sunday school and confirmation prayer for I don't know how many years. She's been teaching since I was born. That much I know. She may have been teaching before that, but since that's quite a few years ago. But it's really confirmation. You're still teaching confirmation here. Still teaching confirmation. Gray ladies, cooking, baking. I mean, you walk in the house, there's always something in the oven on the stove. You get done eating, the table's still full. I mean, it's food all the time. She loves women, she loves volunteering, helping. Dad's active in all kinds of stuff. Fishing is one of his favorites, but also writing stories in the newspaper. I've got one here from the Buell Beacon, dated Thursday, March 10th, 1983. I think it's a classic. Tim Joseph, I know you know, is a pretty good writer, excellent writer, and this is one more of his masterpieces. It's titled, Why Steal Cemetery Toilet? Now, who would want to steal an outhouse? Whatever the foolish reason may be, Peace Cemetery Association has lost its wooden facility that had been a landmark, mind you, a landmark, since constructed many years ago by a government project, according to Ray Eisenweiss Association Chairman, Eula. It was in good, fair shape, remarked Sherry Eisenweiss when first asked about the unusual theft. See, about 3 weeks ago, Eisenweiss drove past the cemetery and noticed that the toilet was missing. He stopped at a nearby farm and inquired if they'd seen it, or noticed when it had disappeared. Eisenweiss had little success, and so he placed a newspaper advertisement seeking any information, but there was no response. So he placed another ad. This got Tim's interest. And so he interviewed Dad, and found out that Eisenweiss was disturbed that someone would actually steal a toilet. It's not a joke, you can laugh about it, but it's serious. He figures that a lot of the alcohol is used for a number of things, in addition to the traditional purposes. Perhaps the thief or thieves are using it as a smokehouse or a fish house. Maybe the guy who stole it is using it to smoke some meat he stole. In the meantime, the cemetery was without a facility. Eisenweiss said the association will either have to replace the toilet or plant bushes. And you've heard the fishing stories. There are fishing stories. I could talk for a long time, but there's a couple of classes I recall. I recall once when we were fishing, and Dad spent a lot of time doing besides fishing, untangling Ellen's rod. Lots of time with that. Mine occasionally, but not as often. Ask Dad. I got mine tangled up. But there's times I remember once when we were fishing, and in fact, usually when Dad caught a fish, the kids had to reel the lines out just so he wouldn't lose the fish. And I recall he had a fish, and all of a sudden I had a fish. So both reeling, all of a sudden my line's getting slack. They're getting closer and closer, and Dad couldn't feel nothing. Here, You see, there's a walleye coming in, get the head, might have the tail. But the best one was when they were fishing, and Dad had a fish, big and oh, catch your line on Ellen's line here, well, and Ellen's really good in, and sure enough, they're heading toward each other again, and you get all tangled up, and yet got the fish on, you get out of the water, take the line apart, and Ellen had the fish. But I remember most clearly the examples that were set. There's things that, as kids, we're told a lot of things, and as parents, I say a lot of things, believe it or not, to my kids, but, you know, like all of us, it seems like a little more than not the other. This isn't a great statement. There's one thing that examples speaking. I recall a couple of instances. I recall once driving out in the country in wintertime. There was a man on the side of the road who was drunk, and Mom and Dad picked him up, took him to the farm and where he lived, dropped him off at home, and drove on. He squashed your cake, Mom. I remember that much. But nonetheless, they were always willing to help people. I recall so clearly, we lived in a big city, and living behind a trailer house, and it was wintertime, and the electricity was cut off. And I remember Dad taking an extension cord and running from our house back to that trailer house. And that's so clear in my mind. The only reason I thought he was unemployed even at the time, yet he was sharing. That's the continuous story that I find with my folks, this continuous willingness to help people, and I'm sure many of you experienced that. They're always in there pitching in, helping, doing stuff, and teaching by that example that has really set in our minds and has really helped us become the citizens, the type of citizens that we are. We are pretty good, by the way, Pastor. And so, it's those kind of things that are clear in our minds, and of course, a sense of humor. You've all experienced it. You've heard both Mom and Dad talking and joking and laughing, and I forget about it. I go back off to the Twin Cities, and I kind of forget it. When I come back here again, I'm just amazed at how much they laugh. They just laugh all the time, and telling jokes all the time, kidding all the time, teasing. And it's those things that really make life fun and interesting. That sense of humor adds spice to life, and for that, we're extremely grateful. Mom and Dad, come forward here, please.
We want to thank all of our friends and families for all the work they did for us, putting all this together, and we really had a great time here.
Thank you all for coming. We appreciate you all. We would like each and every one of you to stay for supper. We prepared much food. Don't say I didn't bring anything. Don't let food go to waste. We would like you to eat it. We prepared food yesterday. The children all helped. They were a great help. We really do appreciate it.
And I think we all to stay together.
Please, great people. Thank you all for coming.